Anthony Scaramucci's here, former White House communications director and author of Trump, the Blue Collar President, and Richard Goodstein, who I gave you a sneak peek of, Democratic strategist and former advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaigns. Great to have you both with us. So, you know, good. Shake hands. Say hi, everybody.
Of course.
So, Richard,
before we start beating on each other, we might as well say
well, you know, I mean, when you look at where this is going, so now it's almost like, I was watching all this, reading all this morning, it's like, you know, before the fact, anything that the president decides he is going to look into will be, oh, see, now he's using his Justice Department to investigate everybody. When the question that's actually now being investigated is whether or not President Obama did that during the last campaign.
Right. So here's what I don't understand about that narrative. George Papadopoulos was, in the words of Lewandowski, Donald Trump, a liar and somebody they'd never heard of. If the Obama White House administration was truly interested in spying on the Trump campaign, why wouldn't they have spied on Donald Trump Jr. or Jared or anybody of any consequence?
When these guys work these kind of things, and, you know, maybe I've read too many spy novels, they look to sort of the softest points as entry points, right? So you go to a Carter Page, you go to a George Papadopoulos, and you're looking for a way in to the operation.
And what we know is that 5 different nations who were friends of ours reported to our intelligence agencies that they were hearing all these stories that made them convinced, as ultimately our intelligence agencies verified, that the Russians were trying to attack our democracy. And Papadopoulos was the one who was spreading those stories. So that's why they would go after him, not because he's weak, because he was the one where they were getting these stories. And incidentally, all this outrage about Carter Page and Papadopoulos, are we going to see a smidgen of that outrage about what the Russians did? I haven't heard that yet, for all the defense of Carter Page and Papadopoulos.
Well, first of all, I think in fairness to the president, I think he's more or less been vindicated. If you look at the top line stuff in the Mueller report, I'm 260 pages deep into it. He's more or less vindicated. They can pit if they want, and we can debate it, but he's more or less vindicated. Number 2, let's wait for the Inspector General. If there was nefarious activity, that's their job. They have to uncover it. And if there was nefarious activity, I would hope Richard would accept that those people, if they did things that were nefarious and unfounded, that they deserve to get punished for that.
100%. I would just say, Peter Strzok, you'd agree, was singularly able to blow up the Donald Trump candidacy by making public what he knew, which was that there was a counterintelligence campaign or investigation that had been launched. He sat on that. He may have badmouthed Trump with his texts, as did the Republican presidential candidate openly say exactly what he said to
well, you know, I mean, the issue is whether or not what actually was happening was that the intelligence agencies had planted people in the campaign to try to see what they could find, and that they didn't let the campaign know that they had those concerns, which would have nipped it in the bud if their true concern was that they were genuinely worried about that.
This is what I would say to my Democratic friends. Okay, this kabuki theater of the Kentucky Fried Chicken and all this other nonsense, go beat him at the ballot box. Okay, get a candidate, think that you can beat the guy. I think he's going to annihilate the Democratic candidate. That's just my point of view. That's my point of view as a capital allocator with $10 billion under management, not me talking as a partisan. That's just me looking objectively at the landscape and the depth of the economic growth. I think it's very hard to beat a sitting president. By the way, if we were sitting here in 2011 and we were talking about Barack Obama and you asked me, I said, boy, it's going to be tough for the Republicans because he has a rising economy and there's so much strength. So to me, we can do the kabuki theater. We have a failing industrial policy, education policy, and infrastructure policy. Why don't we all get together and fix those problems for the American people and then let the Democratic nominee fight it out with
I think probably the American people would like
that's what I would like to see.
Before I let you guys go, I want to give you one more subject. The Washington Post did an enormous piece on Bernie Sanders' honeymoon, which was like decades ago. And let's put up some of this. Inside Bernie's 1988 10-day honeymoon in the Soviet Union. Quote, as he stood on Soviet soil, Sanders criticized the cost of housing and healthcare in the United States, lauding the lower prices but not the quality of that available in the Soviet Union. Then at a banquet, he blasted the way the United States had intervened in other countries, stunning some of those who had accompanied him. So beyond, and let's put up the picture of Bernie Sanders and, you know, they're all having vodka at the table. Anyway, it's very interesting honeymoon. He has no shirt on, which you can't really see in this picture. I think the other people at the table appear to have shirts on, so I'm not really sure what was going on there.
Hopefully Bernie has a calendar and can explain.
What's going on here? Because I think there's a lot of Democrats who are going after Bernie Sanders because they're afraid he's doing well. Is that what's going on?
Look, Bernie Sanders got away with murder in 2016 because, and I fault her for this, Hillary didn't say all those crazy things that he said on foreign soil, what he said about nationalizing banks and transportation and oil and gas, all the things that are truly socialist. He's a real socialist. He doesn't make any bones about it, but she didn't play that up because she was advised, well, that you'll make him a martyr. Well, guess what? It's time for him to kind of
And he became a martyr in the whole superdelegate thing anyway.
He did. I mean, again, he lucked out. And frankly, he didn't go to bat for her in the way he should have even in the general election campaign. And it's time for him to have to explain what he said and done.
Anthony, what do you think?
You know, I think the guy's like a walking disaster, and so I hope that they continue to lurch to the left, because the further left that they go, the more moderate and sensible Democrats will say, okay, things are working great under the Trump administration. The president should probably dial back Twitter a little bit. He can be obnoxious at times, but things are working great. So keep moving the party to the left, Richard.
And how do you
It's gonna be
explain
great for
Trump's
us.
poll numbers being so bad with a good economy?
Because it's just the way the people view Trump right now. It's sort of the reverse Bradley effect. You know that, and I know that. There were precincts that said that they weren't voting for him, and they came out in size, and he won the presidency. If you want to go about the poll numbers, I wouldn't do that, because we're repeating history.
But 2018, people said exactly what you said in the run-up to it, and Democrats cleaned the Republicans' clock.
Yeah.
But
All right,
not in the
we gotta
Senate.
go.
We picked up seats in the
Gentlemen,
Martha.
Richard, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your
Thank you
new
very-
engagement.
Thank you.
Anthony, great to
Yes.
see you. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend.
The Trump economy is booming, and by any measure, our economy is roaring. The Labor Department today ignited the stock market with its report on April's unemployment rate. That rate dropping to 3.6%. That is the lowest unemployment rate since December of 1969, an almost half-century low. 263,000 jobs added in April, blowing past the projections of 185,000. Wall Street amazed. And in the Oval Office, the president today clearly elated with the news.
Our country is doing well, never probably has done as well as it's doing right now economically. And so we're very proud of that fact. We have an economy that maybe is the best economy we've ever had.
Indeed, this runaway Trump economy has the radical Dems and the left-wing national media reeling, and left only to their lies, of course, and their denials. By way of example, the Washington Post ran this headline yesterday, just hours ahead of today's Labor Department report. Quote, Trump faces string of setbacks to his efforts to intervene in the U.S. economy, end quote. The Post, in conjuring up that article, the Post had to ignore a mountain of positive data on the economy, including first quarter economic growth, 3.2%. Last year's economic growth rate, 3%. Now, Speaker Pelosi also lamely today tried to discredit these numbers, saying, quote, the April jobs report numbers show some promising news, yet these gains hide the true weight of the economic uncertainty felt by millions of hard-working Americans. Really pathetic. Pelosi ignoring the 3.2% average pay increase over the past 12 months, the growth of our middle class, a middle class that shrank under 8 years of President Obama. Americans are prospering across the board. In April, female unemployment dropped to 3.1%. That is the lowest unemployment rate for women since 1953. Latino unemployment down to 4.2%, a record low for Hispanics. Asian American joblessness matching a record low of 2.2%. Unemployment for Iraq and Afghan war veterans. Are you ready? A record low of 1.7%. The president's performance is simply, truly historic. Bringing good-paying jobs back to this country, the American worker once again prospering. And so are our families. Joining us tonight, Herman Cain, business executive, former Republican candidate for president. Herman, great to have you with us, and I am delighted to see you. What do you make of these numbers, this economy? We're talking about a president who has added $9 trillion to the stock market. $9 trillion.
Lou, I am glad that you shared these numbers with the public. The Democrats' denial all starts with the denial that President Trump won the presidential election. That fueled Trump hate. That fueled more Democrat denial. And that fueled more Democrat lies. They don't want to recognize these numbers because they in no way want to give this president credit for having the policies and the leadership that has generated this era of prosperity that we are enjoying now. And so they continue to be in this state of denial. But the good news is that I hear from a lot of people as I travel, the people that support Trump and are looking at results, they are not being deterred and they are not abandoning ship. We must stay the course, and I believe that this administration is going to stay the course.
All right, this administration has already set the course, and the future that that this president has envisioned from the moment he decided to run for office is clearly within our grasp. What he has accomplished is historic. There is no president in his first 2 years in office who has come close to this president's performance on the economy, on a host of other achievements. Let's turn to you mentioned the denial of the radical Dems. We are now at a point, it's clearly a point at which this president has been vindicated by the special counsel. The Democrats tried to savage, I mean, it was absolutely outrageous what they did to the radical Dems, to the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, and preposterously doing so as if they weren't lying through their teeth, that they hadn't been lying to the American people about this president, about collusion, about obstruction, about anything that they could conjure up again. We're talking about 2.5 years of lies, and they're trying to call the Attorney General a liar as they twist the truth and distort reality?
The Democrat lying started back with Obamacare. Remember all of the promises we were made about Obamacare, and none of them came to fruition? Secondly, now we know that Obamacare is a abysmal failure. They lied about that. Now they want to try to put the blame on the Republicans and the president. That's simply not going to work. And then trying to demagogue and destroy the credibility of Attorney General Barr is the only lie they have left. And that's not going to work.
Would you,
I talk to people all the time.
Let me just ask you, I mean, would you, if you were going to savage someone, accuse him of lying when he was speaking the truth straightforwardly, had done everything in his power as a new Attorney General to be transparent and to deliver the report, I think perhaps the least redacted report from any government agency I've seen in a very long time, and accuse him of lying and distorting reality? I mean, as we watch Maxine Waters with her nonsense, we watch Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal, continue to try to... he is so filled with bile, I don't understand how they wheel him into a Judiciary Committee hearing. It's extraordinary to watch the performances. Senator Hirono of Hawaii.
Yes.
Who are these people? We watched them with the Kavanaugh hearings. The left has become a gang of liars, conspirators, and much to answer for.
The only word that can describe their reaction is the word desperate. They are desperate to try and do something to discredit this president and now the Attorney General. That's the only way you can explain it. But my optimism lies in the fact that the American people who understand the results are in fact staying on the Trump train. That was a poll by CNN of all people.
Yeah, we need to give
your competitor.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we need to give CNN credit. They reported that 56% approval rating on the economy, the highest that they had ever seen.
They had a hard time saying that, but they had no choice.
That's a change.
This was from a poll that they basically orchestrated. Right. And so it says to me that the American people are not stupid. Most of the American people are not gullible. And it also says that the Democrats' strategy of lying and denying is not going to work with the American people long term.
It's at an end, and Congressman Cohen, hurried that end, I think, with his stunt yesterday. Herman Cain, as always, it is great to see you. Also, we
Good to
want
see you,
give
Lou.
great to see you. We want to give some credit to the New York Times too for the first time, it seems, in a very long time, acknowledging and reporting reality.